Welcome to my review of my Seiko chronograph. This is a model from the late 90s. The model number is the movement is a 7T32, and I think the particular style is 7C80. So anyway, these were Seiko's higher-end chronographs that were introduced in the late 90s. It has, let's look at some dimensions. So 39mm classic dress watch size, and the nut to lug is about 44mm nut to lug. Thickness is 11mm, so very classic size. This does have gold plating, so it's for a watch that's more than 20 years old. This is now in really great shape. I wonder if you can see it, but then there are the dials have a texture on them, which is a grooved texture that really help it catch the light in a very distinct way. It has, like all these movements, the 7T32 movements, it has an alarm out here. Let's set the alarm. And right now our alarm's set for 8 o'clock in the morning. And if you wanna, so you have to pull the crown at the lowest right position, and if you want to turn the alarm off, you just push it back in, and it will set that clock back to whatever is the time that's set on it. I sometimes use this as a dual time thing when I'm, let's wipe fingerprints off it. So when I'm often in a different time zone, the clock at 6 o'clock is very good at keeping time for another zone. At 9 o'clock you have the seconds hand, and at 12 o'clock you have the hand for the tachymeter and the stopwatch. This is, for some reason in the 90s, they were obsessed. The high-end models had to have lots of buttons everywhere. So you've got 3 buttons on each side, and you've got 2 crowns, which, you know, is really makes this a very rare model. Those of you who know watches would realize that if this had, instead of the gold, it had the black dials, it would be the very sought after the Panda chronometer. So those typically go for $500-600 on eBay. But I actually tend to like the gold one more than the black one, so that's why I have the gold one. Let's try to get some functions. So if you want to start the tachymeter or the stopwatch, you press the button out there and it will start measuring in 1/5 of second intervals. If you're trying to measure the speed of a car, all you have to do is, after you have run a mile, you just hit the stop button and it'll tell you that, so you know you were running at 180 miles an hour when you hit the stop button as soon as you crossed a mile or a kilometer. You could also do this to calculate how many jobs you do in an hour. So if you have, say you have a job that takes you about, say, how much do we have? We have 20 seconds. So if you have a job that took you 20 seconds to, let me figure out how you do this. So supposing you could do 15 jobs in 20 seconds, that means in an hour you could do 180 jobs. That's what you could use the tachymeter to also measure how much time, how many jobs you can do in an hour. This is pretty useful in a factory, but people who work in factories can just do the mental calculation in their head. So let's clear this again. And like all these Seiko movements, it has an incredibly smooth motion. Let's show that again. So let's stop the thing and let's hit the reset button. There you go. It's incredible how smooth the thing is. What else? You've got standard day-date crown, which comes out once and twice. Goes back in. It has a battery that lasts about 2 years. Like all these movements, it has the very useful feature of turning off. The second hand starts moving at 2-second intervals instead of 1-second intervals to let you know when the time is low. But if you don't really use the stopwatch feature a lot, or you're not using the alarm a lot, battery tends to run pretty well. The specific watch has very fancy double clasp. It's got a nice bracelet. It's very stylish, and the gold and the silver really goes well with the white color watch that this is. It has obviously the Lume on it. Let's get the Lume file up. And that obviously is the legendary Seiko Lume. It's extremely bright. But the thing that you have to understand is these were very expensive watches in the late 90s. So Seiko really put all their best technologies in this watch, and these were made. So these were extremely high-end watches from the late 90s. And they still make these watches. There's the fact that these watches are being made after 20 years, the exact same movement, really speaks to the quality of the movement. Anyway, I hope you had fun looking at my Seiko chronograph. I have a few other Seikos that I will show, and we'll talk about more later. Thank you for watching.